my name's Aaron. Welcome back to my channel. How are you? I'm fantastic and I'm doing really well. And today, from the house of Louis Vuitton, I'm reviewing Nuit de Feu, which is translated to Night of Fire, which I love. That's very, very, very cool. This is £320 for 100ml. And the notes are Cur, Oud, frankincense and musk. Do we have bottles of Nuit de Feu by Louis Vuitton? Are we engaged with the high stuff? Let's get testing. So it's been a while since I've reviewed one of these. I love the bottle, I love the name. I really want to love this. Let's have a look at the atomizer. Okay, let's apply the fragrance and see what we think. So I was trying this last night in preparation for today, and I sprayed something over the top of it. I sprayed one of my oud fragrances over the top, and it was intense. And I'm working with frankincense at the moment, and it's a really beautiful raw material. It's one of my most favorite raw materials at the moment, but it's can be quite challenging. And a frankincense-based fragrance, I think, is very challenging. I think it's lovely, giving everything I want from that sort of Night of Fire. I just love stuff like that. Smoky, dark, incensey, oud. So smooth and so well blended. I really admire that sort of blending to perfection, I think is absolutely gorgeous. This is a musk-based fragrance, and I've noticed that Perfumer loves the use of umbrettalide within a formula, that cold, snappy finish to it. Ethylene brassylate and galaxolide is the base of this, and that is a really difficult starting block because you're going to get the substantial nature from the chemistry that's behind the musk choice. It's just really tricky because you're going to have to balance lift and volume against thick viscosity that binds the skin and gives you a substantial nature. This is giving you the top note is absolutely frankincense, so it's quite pointed, but the geometry is quite round because of the use of musks in it. So the use of musk is giving it smooth, soft, skin-like finish, satin, softness, silk. That's kind of what it's giving you through the formula, but the top of it is pointed from the use of umbrettalide and the use of frankincense. I was sort of thinking, how would I construct an incense fragrance? Incense I really love creating, and you would work towards your eugenol. Frankincense would go with eugenol. Your eugenol's main constituents within clove, cinnamon, cinnamate, cinnamon, aldehyde, depending on where you're going, to give the incense finish. And smoke, I would go towards guaiac wood, sort of wood compounds as well, and tuberose patchouli as kind of like a really lovely finish to the formula. But I think this is a really difficult formula, very intense, because the flip side of having a fragrance that gives you a substantial nature and substantiality is the ability for fragrance to latch onto the skin and last. Is the flip side to that is you don't get much lift, projection, sillage, and a perfumer's job is a balancing act. But generally, one end you have volume, lift, projection, and the other side of the equation is you have a substantial nature, and you're balancing that all the time. And when you've got a fragrance that's very substantial, may last you for, hours, over 12 hours, it's not going to have lift. And that's what's happening here. And that's kind of, when I started smelling it, that was my initial thing. Oh my God, if it gives me that lift and volume, this is like that magic tick. But on me, it's going quite flat. And that's kind of a little bit of a disappointment. On to my final thoughts. This has been handled masterfully. This is a masterclass of a musk accord, likable. This is giving you sweetness from the vanilla molecules. This is giving you lift from the umbrettalide, smoothness and roundness from the nitro musk, and the frankincense is obviously just smells very beautiful, but it's not giving me lift and volume. I would have loved, for this price, everything, and I would love that substantial nature and lift and volume. And I personally, where I am now in my career and how I think about is I will give, a bit of the substantial nature for a bit more of lift and volume, because I think the lift and volume is really, really important as well as it lasting. And that kind of means maybe you're having a fragrance that doesn't last as long, but I would rather enjoy fragrance fully for sort of 6-8 hours. 6 hours I think is pretty good for a fragrance, but this you could push it a little bit. I would rather that, you see, because I think you're getting something enjoyable, and I think one of the most important points of a fragrance is that it gives you lift and volume and sillage, because that is what people are detecting. And I personally, on the odd occasions I wear a fragrance when I go out and do something, I want people to smell me, and I want people to say, give me compliments. That's kind of why we wear fragrances. You smell good. Oh, that's interesting. I use it as a sort of like as a shield, and like as a sort of a confidence thing, that it sort of stops people getting too close to me personally, because that fragrance is like an invisible wall. And I've noticed if I'm going into a business meeting or doing something which can feel, like I'm out of my comfort zone, that fragrance can anchor me back in myself and can make me feel more like me in a situation where I'm out of my comfort zone. So that's a very important psychological part of fragrance. Without the sillage and without the volume, you don't really get that. And this is my criticism of this. I would love this. I mean, it's pretty much very flat now. And I think after 2 hours, you'd be lucky if there was anything there, if it wasn't like a skin scent. But I would love some lift and volume, and that's my criticism. The fragrance itself initially is beautiful, really, really beautiful. But now I can barely smell it. I can really smell the imbrecalide now. Can't really smell it, and I would have loved some lift and volume from it. I'm going to mark this an 8 out of 10. If it had the lift and volume with a substantial nature, I would have given it a 10, because it's just very enjoyable. It's dark, smoky, mysterious, very sexy, but now kind of not much there, and I really want that lift and volume. So we love that review. Thumbs up and subscribe for more fascinating, interesting content. Lots of moving hands, lots of fragrance reviews. Hope staying safe and well. See you soon.